What if I told you in the 1970s inflation stole buying power when you could afford less house with every year you waited? Sound familiar? We're watching history repeat itself. You've probably heard that real estate always goes up, but what no one tells you is what it's actually like to buy when inflation, interest rates, and the fear of missing out collide. In 1970, the average home cost $23,000 and interest rates were at 7.3%. So most families bought a home with just one income, but you did need 20% down and credit scores did not even exist, but 30-year loans were the standard. And between 1970 and 1979, interest rates rose to 13.3%. Now, most homes were basic 3-bed, 1-bath, and maybe 1,200 square feet, but they were affordable for a while. So manual underwriting was the norm and home buying felt stable, but mid-decade inflation began to rise fast. That's where the pain began. Now, between 1970 and 1979, inflation climbed to 13.3%, causing the rates to climb to over 11 by the end of the decade. Now, as a result, home prices more than doubled from $17,000 to $47,000, and it really wasn't just because homes got better, but because the dollar got weaker. Now, the oil crises of the 70s did make everything cost more. Keeping in mind, Nixon ended the gold standard in '71, which did accelerate inflation. Wages couldn't keep up with housing costs, and every year you waited, you could afford less house. In the 1970s, inflation stole buying power in real time. Welcome to the 80s, where mortgage rates topped out at a jaw-dropping 18.6%. Now, homes were still around $47,000, but your monthly payment was devastating. Now, perfect credit was required. You needed a huge down payment, and monthly payments doubled compared to 10 years earlier. And because of these things, buyers turned to ARMs, which are adjustable rate mortgages, just to survive and have a home. Now, at the time, it wasn't about choosing your dream kitchen, but more so, surviving the interest rate. The Fed pushed interest rates high to kill inflation, and it did work, but at the cost of slamming the market. Homeownership slowed down, even builders slowed down, and rates remained in double digits through most of the decade. In the 1980s, you weren't shopping for your dream home, you were shopping for a payment you could actually make and survive. Now, by 1990, interest rates had dropped to 10%, and the average home was $79,000. Manual underwriting was still the standard since the interweb hadn't taken off yet, and the process was slow. 10 to 20% down was still common, with FHA and VA becoming more accessible, with a mild recession that made lenders cautious. But it did mark the beginning of new trends. So as the 90s progressed, rates dropped to 7%, and with that, the tech boom boosted confidence. Families moved to the suburbs, chasing yards, schools, and starter homes exploded in popularity. Now, with that, home ownership grew, the suburban sprawl completely took off, and lending stayed very conservative for now. And because of that, the 90s were steady, predictable, and people could plan their future. Now, the year 2000 opened the door for the bubble to build and the subprime era. Now, with that, interest rates hovered around 8%, but suddenly pretty much anybody could qualify. With zero down, no doc loans, even interest-only payments, the rules were pretty much gone. Prices of homes jumped fast, everyone became a flipper, and even online mortgage apps appeared. Now, for a minute, home ownership felt unlimited until. Now, in 2007 and 2008, it did bring the crash. With millions of foreclosures, equity wiped out completely for many, buyers vanished. And with that, the Great Recession followed, and lending standards got tight, and they got tight fast. And with that, home ownership rates dropped fast, and lending laws changed, as well as the trust in real estate, which took a big hit. Now, everyone thought real estate could only go up until it didn't. But if you didn't sell like me during that time, it did eventually go up and above. Now, in 2010, the average interest rate was 4.7%, with the average home being about $173,000. FHA loans with 3.5% down became more common, and it was a buyer's market if you could qualify. It was, however, full doc loans only. There were short sales, REOs flooded the market, and government stimulus for first-time buyer credits helped pull a lot of the demand back. This was really an era of rebuilding with low prices, tight lending, and it was a long road back. Now, in the 2010s, the Millennials brought momentum, with rates staying low around 3.5% to 5%. Prices started climbing, at first slowly, but then much faster. Now, Millennials did enter the market, but with them, they carried a lot of debt and job uncertainty. Still, with that, the demand did grow for sure. Cities became hot again, inventory got super tight, but tech tools made home shopping a whole lot easier. The 2010s were a recovery decade, but slow and steady wins the race, right? Now, let's talk about the pandemic firestorm that came in 2020, where mortgage rates dropped to 2.65%. Everyone rushed to buy, working from home, leaving the cities, and entering the bidding wars that we all remember. During that time, we were waiving inspections, appraisals, buying sight unseen, and the prices literally surged overnight. It was a frenzy, but it didn't last. Now, the Great Reset, which brings us all the way to 2025, where we are watching this correction play out. Rates have climbed back as high as 8%, and prices tend to hover around $390,000, which makes affordability the new conversation. Smart buyers are using rate buydowns, negotiating seller concessions, sometimes for the buydown if you're smart. Also exploring assumable loans and even grant programs, but 2025 is slower, but it is the golden hour in real estate to be more strategic. Now, the final takeaway is that from 1970 to 2025, homeownership has never been easy, but it's always been worth it. Waiting rarely makes things easier, but understanding the market and your options has always made you stronger. In every decade, the buyers who acted smart built wealth, so the question isn't should I wait, it's how can I win right now? So if you want the full guide to buying smart in 2025, DM me the word power and I'll send you a free strategy breakdown built for this market. I'm Chris Horrell, your trusted native upstate South Carolina realtor.